presents Java server faces. They obviously are associated with user interface, the libraries containing these user interface components objects that comprise the web page you want to see, and then the web container will return generated web page from this, and the user is going to see such generated web page. So we said the Java server face is based on MVC technology, model view controller. So the model is simply the collection of code that will doing some work. View is pages that user is going to see. A controller just the action that will be executed when user makes request, submits request, and then action will take place. So I mentioned component. So the component is just an object that is part of JSF libraries. They can be invoked, they can be used to design the Java server face page. In Java server faces, the components are organized into trees. Trees that then contains the list of components that designer developer can use to create their web pages. The tree looks like this. So we have root of the tree is the view, and then containing the objects. The children nodes are objects such as form object, then contains input, combo object, command object, and some others like a button object, and whatever else you can see in the user interface. Facelets. Facelets are the actual page that we design and we create. Facelets are JSF pages which replace Java server pages. So facelets is what we create when we write web application. So they are not JSPs anymore, and based on XHTML standards. And these XHTML pages are integrated into JSF. So when you see file the extension XHTML, you know it is the Java server face. The action framework is, so we have the controller that controls the action and generates the views. So when you develop your pages, you create action for each of the view that will be generated. So the main four pillars of JSFs are lifecycle, navigation, model interaction, and the view. So these four pillars are comprised static HTML markup that can be used when we design them, and template. So we have the templates for the creation of JSF pages, and then on the basis of template we build a particular JSF that satisfies our needs. Then, so the user interface components, so they are grouped together into tags from the tags library that are on our disposal. And also JSP could be used with the property tags to turn them into JSFs. And questions, yes, how does JSF use views? Simple, it just builds a tree based on the component libraries. So by building the tree, then we make use of, this is what we get, we create the views for the application that we're going to have. Expression language is what we use to interact with the properties of the objects. So when we generate objects will come with properties, and then we access the properties using this expression language. So we can have the validation of the input takes place at the server side. Don't have to do it on the client side with the use of
JavaScript.
JavaScript, yes. So the validation can happen at the server sides. And when we need to persist the objects, then it's the developers who needs to specify when object has to be saved permanently on the disk. The objects that we're talking about are POJOs. POJOs, anybody know what it stands for? Right. Plain old Java object. Means standard Java code. Plain Java code. Why are we saying that? Because they are not special objects, just plain Java objects. Some, like a servlet. Servlets are not plain numbers because servlets can be run on its own, and servlets have to extend the servlet classes, HTTP classes, in order to become servlets. With POJOs, just Java code that you have, and this is it, so easy to write them. And those objects are the beans object, which are known as managed beans. So they are simple Java code, and these are managed beans which can be invoked within the Java server faces. They are backing beans. Backing beans, they are giving support to JSFs and perform real action in the background. The expression language operates in a way that you can use them to provide get method or set method. Get method when you need data back, set method when you are writing data back. Getter and setters are methods that are used to set values and receive values from the objects. So beans are associated with getter and setter objects. So when you create backing beans, then you need to specify getter and setter objects. And with expression language, as you're going to see, we can avoid saying specifically get and set. So just because it's expression language, the framework we recognize is get and set, what we actually intend to do, and can ignore. Get part of it. We still will do get blah blah blah, set blah blah blah, but we'll simply ignore that get part of it. You don't have to write specifically get and set. Navigation is one of the advantages using Java server faces because you can specify the navigation graph, how the web pages are fetched within the application. So normally, when you write your HTML code, you have a hyperlink that points to another hyperlink to get a web page. With Java surfaces, with the use of backing bins, you have graph structure of the web page navigation, and the whole application can be designed in order that navigation is automatic. And which page will be navigated to depends on the results from executing backing bins method. So whatever backing bin method returns, then that page then will be navigated to. So you don't have to write specific HTML hyperlink commands as you normally do with HTML pages. Here you simply specify that navigation graph, and then the pages are navigated automatically depending on the results from the execution of method or property.
But you have to specify the location as well.
Yeah, you specify location is you specify page name. So you specify based on the value the page specifies on the value of it is returned. Location is within the directory where the object is. This is the location of.
So if you change the location of your page, would you be able to find it?
You will have to specify, if it's not within the directory, then yes, you will have to specify when you design your JSF, you specify where that location is, if it's not within the current directory, in order to find it. Life cycle of JSF is just how the request is dealt with when it comes, and what it does needs to deal with how to find the view on which to operate when request comes, how components going to return the values to the invoking object, and then making sure that event listeners are called when that event occurs, updating the model, and then rendering the new view when the view gets changed after it's been executed. When we deal with the JSFs, we always need some configuration files to specify how to execute JSFs. So the files we need is web.xml file. It sits within webinfo directory, which you know from last semester about Java servlets. And what do we specify in web.xml file? Saying methods specify validation of faces, config files, how specific options are going to be implemented, and anything else that normally sits in web.xml files, such as declaration of resources that are going to be used, security options that we want to specify. So this is the web.xml. In addition to web.xml files, we need faces config.xml file. For simple applications, we do not need faces.xml file. If your application doesn't have managed bins, some components that are not jarred, validates, navigation, etc. So we don't need. So the application server will not complain if you don't have a faces XML file. So one of the main issues how to deal with managed bins, what to do with managed bins is what we'll be looking at today. How to create managed bins, how to invoke, how to deploy managed bins. So the whole structure of JSF is this. So we have a template for our JSF, which is based on Java server pages, And we have the configuration file that specifies how these JSFs will be implemented and specify some other manipulation of the JSF components. Backing bin, so plain Java objects that will be managed by JSF. Then we have some wrapper, which are just Java code, which are used by backing bins, and logic layer, which is just the rest of the application. And the model itself is the number of Java objects that we generate, that we design. So, as I said, it's a template on top of JSF structure. So, what is in the template? So it's a Java server page is the starting point. It's most of the time is that what we have, and because it's JSP, it relies on tag libraries that constitutes JSF. So we need to specify those library components within the tags that will make JSF. Two types of libraries: core, which just specifies the basic page definition of our JSF, and HTML, which contains the HTML tags within our code. So the bad news about that is, not, if you're not familiar with JSP, becomes the steep learning curve to actually understand how to make use of these tags to make it JSF. In the template, we specify the use of the expression language to manipulate with the objects as a part of the object. And we could mix Java code with the HTML itself. So, sample of a template. So at the top we say these tag libraries we are going to use, and URI is that with the prefix F and H. F for the page components and H for the HTML parts of the page. So at the top of the tree is the view tag with the HTML tags, head, title, remember this from HTML specification, and then notice every element starts with a prefix. Prefix will be either H or F, depending what is that we are specifying, whether we're specifying the HTML element or we are specifying the page element. So if it's F is a page element, we're saying this is the view of the page. HTML element, H, form, so this is a form element of HTML page, and items that go onto that form, that, for example, table, data table with this giving me ID, and the value is some JSF bean method or items, and variable is entry. So within that table we have column with a facet name as a header of the column, output text that goes in that column, and close the facet tag. Then you can put checkbox that goes into that form with items that could be selected, comes from the selected method, entry object and selected method. Then specify entry, and the method can delete yes or no, and the output text that would go in that form. So what we're doing, this template shows that objects that can go into the JSF page, and when we complete the form, we simply close all the elements that are part of that the form. So this is just a template on which we base our Java server face. So how does it look like in practice? So to be able to use Java server faces, we can download the frameworks from javaserverfaces.java.net. The good news is JSF is integrated into Glassfish application server, and because we are using Glassfish application server for exercises, so you don't need to download anything. So the file, does it need faces config.xml file? What is required here? We just start and end tag of the faces config.xml, so everything in between could be empty. And web.xml file, again, is very thin, very simple, because it only needs to contain pattern for invoking Java server pages. So pattern to saying that invocation of server face will be with file name.jsf, because we don't invoke Java server faces with the extension x.html. So we specify in web.xml file that we invoke it with the .jsf extension. So even though the file itself is x.html, we invoke it as this. That's a practice, or you can specify something else, how you want to invoke your Java server faces. So the faces config file, so what does it have? It just has the usual XML tags here, specifying URL where the libraries are, what the version is, and this is it. So this is the minimum that we need to have, and this is same for every JSF. You don't need to change anything here. The web.xml file. So again, first part here is just same for everything. Here also servlet, because Java server face is based on Java servlet, and Java servlet's name is faces servlet. So this is standard for all application, and we have to say the class is Java faces web app faces servlet. So this doesn't change, and this is where create mapping is telling how we're going to invoke our Java server face. So the pattern we say is star.jsf for all Java server faces that will be invoked like this. Again, you can change this to be anything you want to. And some other aspects here is we can have some JSP index file or welcome file, HTML file we can have in an application. So you specify in your web.xml, so the application can work with any of those files, documents you create. So the simple flow control with JSF. So the the user issues the request for XHTML file. Notice it will be JSF extension, and the framework will then carry out the instantiation of the bean, backing bean, carry out the action based on what the return value of the bean is. The navigation will take place, and depending what the output is, and this is what the page is going to be shown to the user based on the outcome of the execution of that bean object. When you create facelet page or Java surface, the basic structure is this. So the header part of that is just you put these URIs for the libraries, and you will have the head object, close the head body, head tag. They have body, and within the body you can put form, some elements within the form, close the body, and close the HTML tag. So this is the structure of facelet that we normally have when we create it. The managed beans, as I mentioned, is a plain old Java object, and its structure is it's always specified with the annotation that is managed bean. At managed bean, this tells us this is the bean object we are creating, and we have some class name and then properties. So some properties that we have with get some property, set some property methods as a part of the that class, and also action control method that is there, and some other methods if we need to create. So this is the structure of the managed bean. So it is a notation at managed bean that we start managed bean with, and we give it some name as a class, normal standard Java class, but when we refer to that bean, we refer to it as some name. So notice we ignore the capital. All Java classes start with a capital letter. With the managed beans, when we refer to it, we change capital letter to small case letter, and name bean dot blah blah is the method that we are invoking within that that bean. The return values of that bean. So within the action control method, we look at the return value from the bean, and then the pages. If the return values could be foo or bar, then the pages that will be navigated to will be either foo.xhtml or bar.xhtml. So these pages will have to be on the same folder where the form is that we created. So example. Example is a click. There will be a button on the initial page, and then what we get as will be navigated to any of the pages chosen by random. So what we need? Okay, we need the starting page with the button. So we specify command button action object with bean navigator and choose page method for that bean. So the bean itself is navigator, and specify that is the managed bean with the annotation, and then the choose page methods will return 3 possible options: page 1, page 2, or page 3. So the resulting pages that user will get navigated to will be page 1.xhtml, page 2, or page 3.xhtml.
Can you specify the view that you on each one of those pages, so you can click one button, it brings up 3 pages? So would they be your views as well?
Yes.
So they can be different views?
Yes, yes. Depending on the result from that navigator class method, you can get one of the 3 pages, and you will be navigated to one of those pages. So the start page will look like this. So again, the first bit is same for all our code, and the body is so specify the field set random results page, call it. So the form, in the form, so say press the button that get one of the 3 pages and put the button on the page, command button, so always use the prefix A for the HTML, command button, and then go to random page will show, and action. So when you click on the button, action is call the choose page of the object navigator. Choose page will be executed, and close the form, close the field set, and close the body. So this is a simple our Java surface. So the navigator bin, so needs to import some libraries for the backing bin, and annotation is managed. Bin public class, it's navigator, and we create an array or result page array of strings with the content page 1, page 2, page 3. So the method choose page call random, refer to random utilities class and random elements of the result page of that array. So whatever gets returned, that page will be shown to user. And we said there will be page 1, page 2, or page 3. Page 1, so again, standard first part of the page. So specify the cascading style sheets. Then the head and body with a table object. So it will be shown as a table with title, first row, result page 1, and close the table, and then put something in the next element, 1 lines, blah blah blah, close the body. So that would pages 2 and page 3 it would be similar to this one. So that just shows the structure of basic facelet or Java 7 page. So the flow of control in this example is, so user will get request, invoke that first initial page, and then click the command button, will execute that method which initiates the bin that runs that methods within the bins and returns the value, whatever is returned, the output to the result 1, 2, or 3. So, so the input values, so they correspond to the properties of the bin. So in the element input text, so we say the bin class and some property is or method of that class, they will go into the input object. So when the form is submitted, the value is taken from the text field and supplied to the property associated. Property will be associated with that value. And when the form is displayed, then the get some property method will be invoked. So the bins are by default scope, request scope, so will be valid during the request time. And we can use direct bin and then some property directly into the output. So instead of populating the output text, so have the output text box and get some property values into the output text box. So could be either the two could be used to show the output value. So another example, which ask user to enter the name of programming language, and as the result, the user gets error page, so no language has been entered by user. Warning page, so that language can be used for JSF, or confirmation page, so language is supported by Java server faces. So to do that example, what we need, bean. So we need a bean with properties that correspond to parameters that are requested in the input form. So we'll, in the input text, we'll have a language form and entered language that will be going into the input text when the user submits. And result pages will be again language form and then the language method that will be invoked. So the choose language XHTML, so it is the field set in the body part. So choose JSF language, and the form itself, say input text contains language form and the language chosen from the form. Command button specifies check the language method, which is the language form, and show choice based on what has been entered, and close the form, field set, and the body. So the language form, so the bean object, so is this one. So import the libraries that are required. Annotate is the managed bean, and we say yes, this is a class language form. Language is the property, and the method getLanguage that's going to read and return the language that has been entered. So the setLanguage method, again, give the value whatever has been entered to the language. So the resulting page will depend on the value of the language that has been entered. The thing is, when we refer to get and set methods, we do not specify get and set. We only call that part of the method without get and without set. So this part here, set, we ignore. It's something called language with a small case. So method to show the choice. So if nothing has been entered, so return value is missing language, which then will be our XML page to be shown to user. Or if supplied language is either Java or GUI, then return page the good language.xml, or if not, then the bad language. And is missing a method to check that value has or has not been entered by the user. So the returning page, XHTML page, is so the body simply saying, okay, the table will create the row table missing language and close the table and give the message you didn't enter language, and then create a reference to choose language JSF again, so the user gets a chance to put the correct language. Bad language, so it's similar. So give the message it's a bad language, and then just tell him you're using refer from the form, refer to the value that has been entered. So use that language in JSF. So just tell him, be serious. So it's just warning. And good language, similar. So just say you enter the good language and this is it. So, in a summary, so we have been using forms in JSF which come with the prefixes H for the HTML parts and F for the page parts of the JSF. Manage bins that are used to do the work, small parts of code that just the working horse there, and the bin name is a class, Java class, which comes with its getter and setter methods, and we specify the action method that is invoked with the command button when we create, and the action itself contains the bin name with the method that will be invoked when it's run, and the return value of this method will determine the navigating page that will be shown to user. I just said to run Java server faces we need application server. One that we're going to use is Glassfish application server, supports JSF. It's on Student Central, so we can download from Student Central. And how do you run Glassfish? When you download, you need to go to the bin directory where the Glassfish bin files are, and then run the command from there. Command is as admin start domain. I will start default domain for Glassfish. To stop the Glassfish, you run as admin stop domain command. To check that Glassfish is running correctly, go to browser type localhost 8080 and localhost 4848. How do we deploy application to Glassfish? There is a Hello World application there on Student Central. At least it should be there. You can download, and to deploy that web application, you need to go to this. Probably would be Glassfish 4, not Glassfish 3, which we are running, and go to the auto deploy domain. You drop the application there, and if deployment is successful, hello.for deployed is automatically created. It tells you that your deployment was successful. To run the application, run localhost 8080/hello, and then something like hello world should appear. And if you are to undeploy application, you simply remove that war file from the auto deploy directory, and then it is undeployed. And this is all for the Java server faces. So if you wish